Hello everyone, and thank you for joining with me today. Health and Wellbeing Queensland has been working with primary schools since early in 2021 to promote positive school cultures. Today, I will provide a summary of the evaluation from our 2021 pilot project of Pick of the Crop, which is our whole school program to promote vegetables and fruit. But before I begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the lands from across Queensland. I pay my respects to the elders past and present, for they are the holders of the memories, traditions, the cultures and aspirations of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples across Queensland. As a way of starting with Pick of the Crop, the mental framework that we've used here is to see schools as complex adaptive systems, and our work is to nudge these systems towards better outcomes for vegetables and fruit promotion and consumption among students. Our starting point is to listen and learn. We explore with each school where they are at in their history with food and nutrition, what the school's aspirations are, and the capacity that they have within the school community to take action. We observe and we see what emerges, and we respond and amplify and adjust in a repetitive cycle to continually nudge the system in the direction that we want. An essential program focus for us is to find the leverage points within each school systems across 5 different components. So those 5 are learning with farmers, teaching and learning moments and programs, exposure to vegetables and fruit and the opportunity to try them during the school day, creating healthy school environments, and connecting with parents. Schools create their own action plans around these 5 components, and they are guided by us through our regional coordinators. The program theory of change is represented as a linear model, but in practice, feedback loops exist between the outputs, the immediate impacts, and also the activities. Pick of the Crop was evaluated in term 3 of 2021 after most schools had been implementing for less than 2 terms. We were primarily interested in the activities that schools had actually implemented, their outputs, and what the immediate impacts of these were, such as recognition of the school champion's role. The pilot program evaluation gave us some really good evidence about school uptake and integration into their unique system, and provided us some insights into program enhancements for the 2022 year. We do plan to evaluate later again in 2022, and this will tell us more about changes in the intermediate outcomes, which we are understanding as the system components of policies, practices, networks, and mindsets. 31 out of the 35 schools that were involved were eligible to participate in the pilot evaluation across 3 regions we were working in Bowen, Bundaberg and Logan in southeast Queensland. We received consent from 25 schools and then collected data from 24 around the achievement survey of outputs, short-term impacts, and the most significant change stories. Quotes that you will see throughout the presentation here come from the 8 schools where we collected most significant change stories. Data was not collected directly from parents and students. We relied on principals and teacher reports to assess change in those variables of interest, such as change in students' knowledge about vegetables and fruit and their willingness to try. Overall, we found that Pick of the Crop is an acceptable program for schools to implement and highly adaptable to their own unique contexts. The program resulted in the generation of significant activity to promote vegetables and fruit, healthy eating, and environmental sustainability. Just over 50% of the available funding was used to build or rejuvenate the school gardens and install bush tucker gardens and yarning circles, and this was a particularly important aspect for many schools. The program flexibility, where schools had the opportunity to work towards their own aspirations, supported by us in the program, resulted in positive experiences and very high net promoter scores. The number of actions that were implemented by schools were fairly evenly spread across the 5 program components, but slightly skewed towards the healthier school environments, which predominantly made up of the school gardens. Example actions that schools implemented were classroom visits to local farms, starting mid-morning breaks across the school, making the school garden a centrepiece for teaching and learning. They're innovating with the delivery of vegetable and fruit learning beyond just the standard health and physical activity curriculum, and indeed surprising families with students' willingness to try new vegetables. Our respondents reported strong agreement with statements that students' knowledge and attitudes towards vegetables and fruit had improved over the program. They spoke about behaviour and attitude shifts they saw in students and their changes in their willingness to try different vegetables and fruit. Schools received information about food nutrition and food literacy, programs such as CSIRO's Taste and Learn and Stephanie Alexander's Kitchen Garden program. We also recorded a series of 3 live webinars on integrating food and nutrition literacy into the curriculum. We also included their Indigenous perspectives and sustainability. These activities helped schools to implement their individual action plans for teaching and learning and contributed to strong agreement that the quality and the quantity of nutrition content taught at the school had improved. Schools were incredibly innovative about how they did this. For example, one school connected the school garden to the STEM subjects, and that went across all of the grades in the primary school, whereas many others just aligned the content out of pick of the crop across the different areas of the curriculum. Research shows that repeated exposure to vegetables and opportunities to try them are important to increase children's acceptance. Schools are valuable settings for exposure, especially when the home environment does not provide many opportunities. Pick of the crop show that we could increase the exposures and the opportunities to try different vegetables through various actions, such as mid-morning snack breaks, in school events and celebrations, and also in students' access to the school garden throughout the day. Teachers commented that they demonstrated a change in opportunity from before and after implementation, and that a garden attached to a classroom can be an ongoing stimulus for students' interest to eat vegetables. And this was particularly common in quite a number of prep classrooms. A really important outcome from these instances of impact is on teacher attitudes. They were the ones who experienced the differences that these small changes can make to students, which in themselves become incentives for the teachers to continue that practice. One of our aims with Pick of the Crop is to leave behind self-sustaining networks across local schools and across regions, where teachers who are passionate about food nutrition literacy can share and learn from each other. A well-supported school champion is central to this. We also know that school cultures take a while to change, so we were pleased to see strong agreement that the champion is having an impact on the food practices and the culture at their school. We have digital platforms and communication strategies in place to promote what the champions do and to connect with the school and also beyond the school. Our engagement with school leaders and program inputs incentivised and lowered the risk for schools to get involved. And in particular, the 3 regional coordinators that we put in place, the small grants, and the promotion of success stories were highly valued. The program barriers reflect a vulnerability to program sustainability reflective of the school setting and the broader food culture. We can address barriers related to knowledge gaps, and we can also do work around helping to set realistic expectations. Our approach to structural barriers, however, is to support and enable schools to innovate and then amplify to amplify their success stories. Program innovation is at the heart of what we do, and there is so much opportunity with a program like Pick of the Crop. Meeting schools' resource and information needs is one aspect, and possibly the easier task. Focusing on the longer-term system components we want to impact And ongoing evaluation to measure this impact is the other part of the program adaptation and future investment strategy. We are testing the impact of a leaner implementation model this year, and if that's successful, we will be able to speed up dissemination to schools who want to access the program resources. And finally, I'd like to conclude by acknowledging the efforts of the 35 pilot schools, our team at Health and Wellbeing Queensland, our implementation partners in Bowen and Bundaberg and Logan, and the UQ Institute of Social Sciences Research. Thank you.